Hello, welcome. It's the 3rd of March. It's Wednesday. It's budget day. So we've got lots to talk about there. We've got lots of other things going on and some big news. But let's get on with the headlines. So Sturgeon says Salmond conspiracy claims are absurd. I'm just reading quickly off the top here. Sunak to set out recovery plans in budget. We'll talk about that in great detail in a minute. Contactless payments limit will be taken up to £100. So your contactless cards, you'll be able to spend £100 on just by tapping and going, which is great. Obviously, you need the money in there. Chinese study reveals Uyghur assimilation goal. Wow, I should have read that before I started. A high-level Chinese study says a massive work scheme is reducing Uyghur population density in Xinjiang. Is that correct? I'm not sure if that's pronounced correctly. Doesn't matter. I may have offended a lot of people there. Who do we have in? Hello, Andy.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Matt.
How are you? It's only just us two at the moment. People are running slightly late, which is fine, which is okay. What I'm going to do while we're just here is unbelievable. Even though he doesn't stand up for another half an hour, we've got all the details of the budget. I don't understand how this works anymore. We've got all the highlights anyway. So let's just go through them quickly. More help for workers as the pandemic has upended many people's working lives. The furlough scheme will be extended until the end of September. There's a slight adjustment after June and July when the employer will make a contribution. Money to help locals. Now, this is a good one. Money to help locals buy their boozer. Pubs and other hospitality venues have been battered by the pandemic, so the Chancellor has promised 150 million pots to help communities take over their local pubs, which are at threat of closure. That's an interesting one. Free MBA-style management training for firms. Tens of thousands of small businesses will be offered free MBA-style management training to help and boost their productivity. Cash for cricket and football. I'll just skip over these now. 400 million for the arts. Support to help businesses reopen. The Chancellor is set to unveil details of a 5 billion grant scheme to help struggling high street shops and hospitality firms in England reopen after lockdown. More money for vaccinations, more on that in a second. Bringing back 95% mortgages. Ooh, that's gonna bite somebody in the bottom in a few years' time. An elite visa, for high skilled workers to help people come into the country. Even though we wanted everybody out and close the borders, now we want to open them up again and bring some elite workers back in. And 126 million boost for traineeships. Quickly on, let's have a look. There's a bit on self-employed. So the self-employed grants, which we've had 3 of them so far, will be extended. So we've got another one happening next month, which will cover February to April. The difference this time, though, the people who were missed out because they started very late as self-employed, can now include their 2019 and 2020 tax returns. So I think there's 600,000 people who had missed out on these grants. They will now be covered, and they've said there's going to be another grant scheme after this one finishes as well. So which is good. So lots to take in there. I don't understand this now. Why do they release all this detail before he stands up? I mean, it happens every time now. It's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, obviously you work with businesses and small businesses, Andy. Is that good?
The 5 billion help out is fantastic news for retail and hospitality and all those sectors.
Yeah.
A great help. I particularly like this one about this fund to help buy your local pub. I do like that. Because that scheme has been going for a while, and or something similar, and there's been an ability for people, and people have bought them, and some pubs actually have now incorporated their local shop and their post office and even a community hall. So it is well worth doing.
It's going to be interesting. I've got an idea. I've got a plan. Maybe not. Hello, Marky. How are you?
just had to go up to local school because my son has to have a new MacBook laptop Chrome, whatever. Because
you can get it. Go on, you can do it.
Yeah, no good. I think I've caught the end of that, mate. That's all about the communities buying their local pubs.
That's right. Correct. Yeah, that's right. I was just saying because we've just got the headlines for the budget, even though the budget's not until 12:30. They've released a load of stuff, which is good. Lots of stuff for help self-employed. But there's this strange one that just popped in about 150 million pound pot to help you buy your local. Now.
Well, as you know, Matt, I run Dads Need a Beer, and honestly, as a group, we could just buy our own pub.
Great idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. It is a good idea. Now,
help local breweries like only supplying local stuff like that.
While we're just talking about pubs, I found a website this morning, which is brilliant. And this is beer. Well, this is giving the countdown in real time of all the different sections. So you can have a beer in a park with one friend in 4 days, 11 hours, 52 minutes and 44 seconds. A beer in a beer garden with 5 friends. That's in 39 days. A beer in a pub with 5 friends. That's 74 days. That's us, Andy. Beer in the park with 5 friends, 25 days. And a beer with everyone, everywhere in 109 days.
Fantastic.
I love the way it's in real time as well.
What's the name for that, Matt?
It's called One Way Road to Beer. Just search that in Google and you'll get that.
Well, it puts it nicely, though, because I was having a look at we'd had this discussion about the event opening up, and obviously there's a whole issue, 2 sides of the story with this, whether you're ready to go back outdoors and those who want to go outdoors. But we're doing our first event for a beer on the roof terraces, garden roof terraces in May. But we're now looking at it and thinking, well, actually, you can go in beer gardens and gardens as a whole from April. So we're looking into that now.
Yeah, but it's saying here it's only with 5 people.
Yes.
So that's in 39 days.
Okay. So what does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know. I think that what the one that covers you is 109 days, beer everywhere with everyone. That's the one for a big group of people, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, but like all of this, it's like events, isn't it? It's the events industry. I mean, it's kind of like, where are the clarities? Where are the guidelines? Yeah, who knows?
No, it is. It's a difficult one. Now, I'm not feeling great today, and there's a reason for that because yesterday I got my vaccine.
Oh no!
And I can tell you something. Have you had yours yet, Andy?
Yes.
Did your arm hurt?
Yes.
Okay, I'm got the shivers. I'm aching all over. My arm hurts.
Yeah. Now we had our vaccine. It'd be 3 weeks on Friday, actually.
Oh, you're nearly clear then. Well, you're nearly in the 80% bracket.
Yeah. So Marion got what you've got: shivers, flu-like symptoms.
Yeah.
24 hours afterwards, and I had nothing except for the aching arm.
Oh, right, okay. I've had to put the heating on, which is not right. Not for the daytime.
You get flu-like symptoms.
Yeah.
Well, they said yesterday, the nurse said that it'll last a day or two. If they last longer, now this is interesting, if they last longer than a couple of days, that means you've had COVID, but you've had no symptoms.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. Oh,
hello,
Dan.
Do you have to let
Sorry.
me? I didn't think you let me.
No, Darren, I was just saying that I had that yesterday. AstraZeneca, stuck it in my arm.
Brilliant.
Nice.
And now I feel terrible. Okay, I had to get a Handsworth NHS unit to go to. Yeah, it's a long story. I can't go into it here because it's a bit sensitive.
Yes, that's okay.
So that's all I'm saying. Darren, have you picked up anything about what's happening in this budget, even though they've released every single bit of information?
Mate, I'm in a wetsuit. I've no idea.
What did... I thought you would have been. I would have thought you would have been on firing on all engines because you've been talking about it for the past week.
All I know is they're going to extend furlough to September, but I don't really know what that means because aren't we going to be open? So how come we're furloughing people when we're open?
No, it's just you don't have to use furlough. You don't have to use furlough, but what it's going to do is if you want to lay off your staff and reopen yourself and not bring the staff back at that point in July, you can just keep furloughing them for a bit longer. But from July, you start after paying a percentage of the furlough as an employer. So, you just got to keep an eye on that. I mean, all the details will be released at 12:30, but it's just, there's so much stuff. You can buy your own pub. That's one thing. Go on, Andy.
Really?
Just say one thing. They release them, but there's always something else in his actual announcements that's not released.
Oh, yeah, of course there is.
Yeah.
But the self-employed stuff is quite important. Go on, Mark.
I absolutely find it disgusting, to the point of if he continues with furlough, continues with this ever-growing of you've got a job at the end of it because we're covering you, the government, and really businesses as a whole are suffering and should be making that decision whether they can actually continue after this. And it's hard to sound, but all you're doing is giving false hope. And that false hope is going to cover, rather small businesses, micro businesses, people who haven't been able to take loans, who are then finally sorting themselves out and getting onto the road of recovery, are going to be hit with massive corporation taxes because someone has got to pay for the magic money tree.
Well, there's going to be tax increases. There's that's just the way it's going to be. But I think they're going to hit a lot of the I think he may raise corporation tax today. I think he may do that because it's not going to hit the smaller self-employed people, and it's not going to really hit. It's not going to hit them at all. But I think that's what's going to happen. Any thoughts on that? Is he going to raise a tax today? Do you think?
Look, I take a different view to Mark, right? And
fair enough.
The view is because the government have treated it properly on the financial side, this pandemic. What they haven't done is treated it like a war, a different type of war, a war on a virus. After World War II, we had a massive rebuilding plan throughout Europe called the Marshall Plan. We need that now. Now, Rishi Sunak doing what he's doing is there. Yes, Mark, corporation tax is going to go up. But look, we were at 19% for small businesses. We were one of the lowest corporation tax in the world, right? And that is at the point, 19%. Personal tax is 20%, right? Corporation tax is 19%. They're talking about you going up to 23%. It's not the end of the world. We've got 100% tax allowances now for the whole of the pandemic. So
I get that.
We've got to keep all the jobs open and businesses open. And my view is anybody.
To what point?
Let me finish, Mark. Anybody that is closing businesses down at the moment, just for the sake of it, take the people, Melrose, who own GKN. In my opinion, that is absolutely scandalous what they're doing, closing down that plant in Birmingham, or talking about closing it down and moving it all to Italy. Why? They're based in the UK. They're listed in the UK. Why not keep the home fires burning, in my opinion? Do not close your business. Keep the jobs open. We will get through this with jobs.
The point is, unless you've got a proper plan on how we're going to get the economy moving again, how we're going to move forward, and not just this simple 100 days, as Matt pointed out, before you can have a beer in a garden, that's the least of our problems. Small businesses are suffering right now. Bigger companies, they are doing well, you're right, and they're doing well, and they're using opportunities like this, loopholes, to close businesses down, to obviously get rid of the jobs. What I'm talking about is the micro business, the small business who's struggling right now and really should be asking themselves, if I'm going to keep my business open, which I need to, you're right in what you're saying, but am I giving false hope to people on furlough for over a year now? That'll be 18 months. And those people not actually asking the employer, do I have a job to come back to? Fine, you've got me on furlough for another 6 months, but in that time, I can go and retrain, set up my own business, what I've always wondered, which I'm seeing more people do. But the fact is, if you're sitting on furlough right now, and I'll take my hat off to you, and I do appreciate it's tough, but if you're sitting on furlough and expecting to go back to a job you haven't spoken to the employer about, if there's a job, more for you, because you should be thinking already about what the future realistically holds.
Well, most companies are communicating with their staff, even on furlough. My experience at the moment is they're all communicating. The truth of the matter is, a lot of companies can't say any guarantees, cast iron guarantees to employees if they're going to be coming back or not. Right? The truth is, while furlough is there, utilise it. It's there. We may as well utilise it and keep people in as long as possible, in jobs as long as possible, and see what happens once we get out the other side. We're not out this woods yet because we've now got this Brazilian variant. All we asked was they close the borders and control the borders, and now we've had the South African running riot, and now we got the Brazilian one going to be running riot if we're not careful because they can't find one person. One person.
But again, sorry, because I know Darren and Matt will have a point on this. But again,
that's all right. Carry on.
80% of vulnerable people, I'm not trying to take anything away because obviously there's people who have generally lost people, but 80% have been vaccinated now. 80% of the population have been vaccinated. I'm looking forward to my vaccination. Step up, get your vaccination. But at the same time, stop fanning around with 100 days before we can actually get back to business.
Well, your problem is we've still got high numbers, and what will happen next week, you will see that the figures will spike after next week when the kids start going back to school. It said, Professor Van Tam said that there will be spike when the kids go back to school. That is a fact.
Yeah, well, I think that might be the case, Andy, and I sort of get where you're coming from with that. But that spike, he said a lot of stuff, hasn't he? Bless him. But that spike.
No, he's the only one that's
let's keep it into perspective. What that spike will be. Are we talking about a small spike? Because obviously there will be some difference, and I think everybody knows there will be difference. But what my hope is that because there's been a massive vaccination program ongoing, so the kids that do go and come back to spread it are spreading it to the people that are now vaccinated. So that spike should be much, much, much smaller and become manageable. Because the reality is, this one person, this needle in a haystack, let's face it, that's what it is. You make it sound like it's easy job to find one person, but we can't track every single one person and open up our borders for business. And this pandemic, we're going to have to find a way of working through. There's going to be so many mutant variants. How on earth? We can't just keep going and closing and opening and closing and opening. That we've got to find a balance. I don't know what that balance is.
Control the borders. Simple as that.
How can you close all the borders?
I've had 900 deaths from New Australia to our 135,000 deaths, all because one policy, the border controls. And we fail to control the borders. That is a fact. Everybody knows that now. It's a given fact, right? And yes, the problem is, Darren, the Brazilian variant, along with the South African, are the ones I'm most concerned about. They call them variants of concern, right? Because those ones circumvent the great vaccine program. Now, just back onto your point about the schools, Darren. Unfortunately, except Matt, all of you haven't had your vaccines yet, have you, Darren and Mark?
My wife's is tomorrow. Oh no, Friday. No, mine won't be.
At the moment, the official
really hurts.
60 plus, right? So the truth of the matter is, the parents of pupils going back to school next week are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, not the 60s, and that has been the mistake they've made. They should have vaccinated the parents.
Yeah, but hold on though. So I'm not one great for stats. This is where we need Grant. But all the hospitalizations and the majority of people, like for instance, my business partner had COVID. He wasn't well. My sister's had COVID. Wasn't well. Really struggled. I don't wish it on them. It knocked them about horribly, but they're fine. They've had a real bad. They've had a flu. And let's not compare it too much to the flu, but they've had that type of thing. So them 20s and 30s and 40-year-olds will probably go through a similar situation where they'll just go through something very uncomfortable for a couple of weeks. I hope so as well. And I think this is the trouble, is that I'm struggling to see what the hope is, because we can't close down the borders. We can't just shut the gates.
We're not shutting the gates. We're controlling them.
Yeah, even that is an easier task.
Australia didn't shut their borders. Everybody went into Australia, went into quarantine in a hotel by the government for 14 days. End of story. Same with New Zealand. And
Yeah, but are we doing that now? Are we doing that now?
No, not for all countries. 33 red list countries, right? And that's the problem. Believe it or not, Scotland has a better border control than England and Wales and Northern Ireland.
Yeah, but
there's total quarantine for everybody, and that is what we should have.
Let's not get on to the devolved government because it's an absolute sham. The fact is, you got Nicola Sturgeon saying one thing. You got Wales, Northern Ireland, all selling different things. We're not singing from the same hymn sheet. There's nothing great about Great Britain right now. We have a prime minister who's trying to push this through. Put your foot down. That's the only way we're going to control this.
Correct.
This absolute crap with you've got your policy, you've got your policy. It's tit for tat. That's why we're in this situation, because no one's actually singing from the same hymn sheet.
But whose fault's that? Whose fault's that?
Well, at the end of that,
Boris Johnson didn't bring the nation together. He didn't communicate with the devolved nations properly. Did do that, did it all on his own, and that's what the problem's been. Because guess what? Unfortunately, and if you want to sign my petition, I'm calling for all ministers, including the Prime Minister, to be sent to the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst to be given leadership and officer training, right? Leadership and officer training to prevent tragedies like we've got. Guess what? Where Churchill went, Sandhurst. We have been turning out leaders since 1802 at the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst, but we forgot to send our politicians there. Crazy!
Don't worry, I was in the army, Andy, and I met a few.
Right?
Sandhurst.
The point is, Sandhurst has been turning out world leaders,
including my brother-in-law, and it is not necessarily the answer, trust me. But what is?
Mark, you've got a journalist. You've got a
gentlemen. Let's all calm down.
Training a journalist running the country in a wartime situation.
Let me finish this point.
I thought he was going to stand up then.
We said to Dan, we need to control the borders. We can't even control our own borders. That is with Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Yeah, if we want to do this, then lock everyone out, lock us out, lock you out. It's not the answer. The simple fact is
saying that, Mark, you're overreacting. Keep to the facts, Mark, that I'm saying. I'm saying control the borders like Australia and New Zealand. Mark, you're wrong. My family just had 909 deaths. Check your facts. UK's got 135,000 deaths by the government's irresponsible behaviour.
All right, everybody. Right, let's all just take it down a tad. Just everybody's no good shouting.
People don't give him correct. Mark,
he's still going. He's still going.
I'm sorry, Mark. Check your facts. Just like some government ministers don't know what they're talking about either.
The one thing I get really bored of people doing is Boris blaming, because I don't see an alternative. Tell me what any other politician in any other party would have done differently, because I don't believe they would have done, because they were all self-serving. And I just get bored of the Boris blaming, because the reality is, and also, I'm not sure that anybody capable or anybody in that situation would make this. They might not make the same mistakes Boris made. They might have made different mistakes, but I wouldn't want to wish that role on anybody, because it is bigger than anybody could even imagine. And no matter what you do in that role, you are knackered, because you will make mistakes, because there is no right answer. So, for instance, the cannon fodder that we're doing as the kids go back to school, the kids are cannon fodder. And I understand what he's doing. He's going to go, what's the worst thing that might impact this virus? Let's get that out there for 5 weeks and see what happens. And let's pull it back if it all goes wrong. And that's that. So what, or does he do it the other way around? I just don't think there's a right answer. And Boris or any one of them,
Darren,
and certainly not Corbyn.
I can just say about history. The reason I'm running a petition is because none of our politicians currently, for the last decades, have had training. You know that any.
That's another thing. No, the trouble is though, Andy, training. So let's go on training. So what you're saying, let's move away from that. No, let's move away from that, and let's say, So you're saying someone with a degree who's got training and an education is brighter and better at coding. So let's not confuse education and training with intelligence, and because they're two very different things.
Would you fly in a plane where the pilot had no training or experience? Of course you wouldn't. He's not allowed by law anyway.
But what you're saying is training, and there's training in lots of different ways. And I agree with what you're saying in principle.
Leadership training, Darren. I've had leadership training by two organisations.
Right. So I've had lots of it, and lots of it is BS, corporate BS. Well, lots of it is absolute corporate.
I'm talking about Sandhurst's military training and leadership.
Right? And I've just pointed out that officers aren't always the best people. I know plenty of them.
But listen, some training is better than no training. And we have.
But again,
forget Boris. Forget anybody. I'm talking for since World War II. The end of World War II, we have not trained any politicians for office.
I agree,
and that's
it's a gap. I agree, it's a gap, and we should be better selecting our politicians. But for instance, you get a company like BT, who I work for. So you get a company like that, and they have different CEOs, and they come and go, and they come with all their different ideas. But their ideas are very much focused on where their training is. So, for instance, if you get a CEO that's come from a financial background, it's all about the numbers. If you get a CEO that's all about innovation, it's all about, so, and it'd be the same. You can't just train somebody in Sandhurst and say, that's the training you need to be a politician. No. There has to be a whole package of what a politician should be trained. And
Army officers are given leadership training and decision-making under duress. Boris Johnson and the whole cabinet have not had that type of training. This is a war. They should have been. What we've had is dither and delay equals deaths. And that is what has happened. Even Boris Johnson, on the morning of the lockdown, was reported to be hand-wringing and dithering and delay. Did he have to do it before he made the announcement on Boxing Day or whatever day it was? Right? The fact is, Churchill, before he entered the great office of Prime Minister, was a war hero, had served the British Army in three arenas, right? And had been to Sandhurst.
And he also sacrificed, in a very war way, sacrificed several thousand people at Coventry. So I'm sure the people at Coventry would be really happy about that.
Difficult decisions in a war. That's when people were trying to annihilate us. Right? I'm saying it would give them a better chance.
You're looking
sign the petition. It means well.
Leaders to rule our country. Sorry, just put it out there.
What was that?
No, you're looking for military leaders to be in leadership of our country. That's not a democracy.
No.
Yeah.
Mark, don't put words in my mouth.
People.
I'm pointing out the academy, the Royal Sandhurst Academy, is not the answer. Trust me.
Okay, well, right. We just need to.
Don't trust you, Mark.
Oh, here we go.
You're talking rubbish again.
Andy, I'm just going to mute you for a second, Andy. And you, Mark, you're muted. You're muted. There's only me and Darren.
Any spaceships going up, Matt?
Yes, he's in a second. But Andy just wanted to talk about something about the business loan situation. Andy, you've got 1 minute on the business loan, so I'll hand it back over to you.
Look, throughout the pandemic and before, I've been doing startup loans, right? Which is a government program which has been very good. It's been around since 2014, and it gives you 100% funding up to £25,000 per partner. If there's more than one partner, you can get up to 50, even 100,000 if there's 4 partners. It is a process that is a program that's running at the moment. It's fantastic. I can't rave about it enough. And lots of people are starting their own businesses at the moment, and they are actually getting loans through, and we're getting approvals every single day. So anybody looking to start your own business, whatever that may be, you can qualify for a loan from £2,000 up to £25,000. Please contact me.
Excellent. Email address is at the bottom of the screen. Right then, people, that is about it. I've just got one thing to mention. That's all right. To calm down. We are going to be doing our live broadcast, our new space event things. I've got there's a live feed at the moment. It does say no launch today in the bottom right-hand corner. But the launch is happening. That's in Boca Chica, Texas. And that's a Starship on the pad ready to go up. They've got road closures. They've got everybody at the local village, and they've closed the airspace from 3 o'clock today until midnight tonight on our time. We go live about 6 o'clock. We may go live early if it goes up, but we'll try and get close to it. If you want to join us, we'll be chit-chatting. We've got SpaceX in HD. We've got all the other cameras all linked together. It is going to be fun if you're into that type of thing. But Darren isn't. But anyway, that is it, gentlemen. We shall see you Friday. It's Friday already. It's nearly around there. Thanks a lot to Andy. Thanks a lot to Mark. Thanks a lot to Darren. It has been, been very good. It's been very good, everybody. And go and get changed. You're going to chaff yourself in that. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.